Hey Radiant Souls, welcome back to my channel. My name is Heather. If you're new here, I'm an intuitive counselor, author, artist, animal communicator, and coach, and I'm on a mission to empower and embolden others to connect with their divine radiant light and honor the sacred connection with all life. What I was prompted to share this week for the channel was a little bit of let's dig into the energy of 2024 overall a bit. I shared my January energy forecast, and if you didn't see it, I'll put a link to that in the description box. But I wanted to share kind of the overall coloring, and I'm not going month by month or theme by theme, because we'll do that as we go through the rest of the months for the year. But these two words have been coming up consistently for me, and I just want to share them with you. The words are choice point. That 2024 is in many, many, many ways a choice point for us. So what that looks like energetically for me is if we were all kind of booking a trip, booking some travel, and there's that time period where you kind of have a broad idea. Well, I want to take a vacation in some way. I want to go somewhere. And you start looking at, is it the Cook Islands? Is it Bora Bora? Is it Australia? Maybe I want to go to Alaska. Like, you start looking and you kind of sample or try on in your mind what it might be like to go to those different locations. That was kind of what the world has been sharing with us. If we look at this as a metaphor, that's what the world has been sharing with us. There are these kinds of experiences that we can be having, and they're infinite, truly. Our brains detect, a handful or a couple dozen of different scenarios. And what I mean by that is it could be the scenario of whatever lens you're looking through for the world. It could be the scenario of war, of chaos, of upliftment, of creativity, of love, any kind of, or any combination of those. But those are kind of that first stage of travel planning where you're like, yeah, I think, wow, look at that. Maybe there's an advisory over there in that one. So I don't know that I want to go there, or I don't really like cold weather, so I probably don't want to do Alaska, or, you start filtering those through and weighing the options. So that has been in our metaphor, in our illustration, that has been 2021 through 2022-ish, or 2020 through 2022. If we continue on with this metaphor, indulge me, please, then what we saw from 2022 to 2023 was more of all right, I think this is what I really see for the future, or this is what I want my world to look like. I don't know how to get there. I don't know if I need a travel agent. I don't know if I need an Uber. I don't know if I want to fly. Do I want to drive? Like, we've narrowed down a little bit to say that's the direction I think I'm heading in, but I don't really have all the details of how to get there. So as we were working through these larger issues in life and in the future and in the world we want to create in 2022 and 2023, it had that kind of texture to it. That's when so many of us were finding different mentors, finding teachers, finding podcasts, finding books, finding things that lit us up, that kind of activated that spark within us to think, okay, that's interesting. I want to take more of that, or I want to study that more. I want to dive deeper over there. As we're moving into 2024, this is the phase of choice point. This is book the trip. The guides are saying this is the click, book the trip, the metaphorical trip, the Airbnb of your dreams or whatever. But what they mean by that is this is when it's time to let the other things fall to the wayside for yourself. If a perspective doesn't resonate with you, quit giving it attention. If something irritates you, stop giving it attention. If something, some kind of topic, some texture, some way the world is presenting itself to you isn't what you want, don't fan the flame of it. So, and this is where, because of the frequencies in the world, because of the frequencies that are being elevated in a lot of us, because there are activations coming, there are codes coming in, all those new agey kind of things that a lot of us talk about, it is setting the stage for us to get really clear. And you don't have to know the absolute detail. So it doesn't have to be like each step is mapped out for you, but you need to know what it is that you want for your future. Do you want to see a world of love, filled with love and peace, and not competition, but a collective sense of creativity, or a collective sense of diversity in a way that truly does celebrate each individual, doesn't label each individual, but understands that everyone has their own, they are their own piece of the puzzle, and coming forward and embracing that. If that's not what you want, and I'm putting more emphasis on that, because I think if you're here watching this kind of content, that's likely aligned with what you want. But if it is, I want to sit in my house and worry all the time, I want to look at different things that could go wrong, and I want to take in all of that, and there are a lot of people who do enjoy that energy, then that is where you're spending your time. And they're saying this is the choice point in 2024, because realities are shifting. If you're familiar with, kind of parallel universes and things like that, things that are not chosen for you will start to kind of dissipate and fade away. And the way I always picture this, if you saw the movie Back to the Future, when Michael J. Fox comes back, or starts to look at, he's in the 1950s trying to help facilitate his parents connecting so that in his current timeline, he can still be alive, and he is not, like, things are not working out the way they should. And he looks at the picture of himself and his siblings, and they're starting to fade. They're like not in the picture anymore. That's what's going to happen for some of us. If we pull our attention and our energy, which is the most important piece of how we activate a new reality, is our attention, is our intention, our devotion to what it is that we prefer, we will see less and less of those things eventually. And I'm not saying that happens immediately at the end of 2024. We all shift. I think it's a longer process than that. But this is kind of the start of, for lack of a prettier image, because I can see that some people are going to be like, oh, geez. This is the part of the roller coaster where you waited in the queue, you got into the ride, and you've pulled the harness thing down, and you're like, you know it. You know you're going. There's no backing out. So picking and being very clear on what it is that you want. And this could be large scale, what you want the world to be things. This could also be just in your personal life. What do you want to be? How do you want to be? Who do you want to be on a daily basis? And developing the commitment and the devotion to that. Because where you put your intention and your attention is where energy goes, and you're essentially betting on that. So choice points. And we will, I think, as we go through 2024, to tie back to kind of the larger forecast, if you will, we're going to see so many more options on the menu. It's kind of like when you go to a restaurant and the waiter comes up and says, our daily specials are this, 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 and this. We're going to be seeing, you can have a world of war over here. You can have a world of something collapsing here in a system. You can have a world of this. But we're also, in equal measure, going to see, you can have this much creativity in your life. You can have this much success in your life. You can have this much contentment and satisfaction and partnership in your life. And we're going to see those choices more and more. So just the guidance from the team is, as you see those come up, not in a stressful, oh, I've got to take this one and not that one kind of a way, but just kind of saying, yeah, that's the one I prefer. Less of that, more of this, and calibrating yourself bit by bit as you're going through the year, but very consciously doing it and knowing how incredibly powerful you are with that energy of being a creator. and calling that in for yourself. So one of the things too that was coming up, and I put this on like my Instagram stories and Facebook the other day, but just to keep yourself centered and calibrated and present in the moment, and taking that moment to mean, in this view of looking at a whole year, the present day, each day. What can you do to kind of bring yourself back to center, reassess at the end of every day? And it can be seen as this devotional practice of self that just lets you say, okay, I'm still on the right track. I'm still going toward, and now I'm seeing kind of the image too of if you're looking at like a map software or a GPS system. Sometimes, you are advised to take a right, but maybe you see something and you want to keep going straight for a minute, and the GPS does the recalculating kind of thing to get you back on track. This is your way to recalculate, get yourself back on track on a daily basis. And it's just taking time before you go to sleep every night to reflect on 5 questions. You're not doing it from a perspective of judgment or of grading yourself. If you want to write down your answers, that can be a really helpful way to dive kind of deeper into it, but it's not required. The reflection of it and just taking a few moments to pause and think about it is great. So question number 1 is, what were you proud of today? What did you think you did well? And it doesn't have to be a laundry list. It doesn't have to be egotistical. You want to develop the habit of celebrating your own successes, because so often our negative self-talk overlaps or outweighs anything that we've done. So really finding those things for yourself, because guess what? The more you find them for yourself, the more you will start to see a world that has positive qualities in it. If you can find them in your own day. The chocolate cake was offered to me and I said no to the chocolate cake, or whatever for you was like, okay, I did okay. I made a choice that was aligned with the future that I want. Success. Question number 2 is, what would you have done differently? And again, not from a judgment perspective. The energy I'm getting for that is kind of like back in school, where you would need to write a book report, and maybe you had to do one of those kind of character analysis things. So you would say, well, had so-and-so not done this instead, then the story could have taken a different turn. Doing that for yourself and saying, okay, I did eat the chocolate cake, and so now I know I'm going to be up all night because sugar just keeps me hyper, and I'm going to be kind of jumpy the next day, or I'm gonna need more coffee the next day to recover my balance from not sleeping. And so I could have made a better decision in that moment. All right, got it, file it away. Not being critical of it, just kind of objectively observing it. The third question is, did you laugh today? We sometimes just think that funny moments come up sporadically, and they do, but this is actively looking for joy in your life. So did you laugh? Because that also means in that moment, you weren't stressed, you were very present, even if it was just a little bit of a laugh. And they want you to celebrate that as well and start observing that if you would like more of those moments, which I think so many of us would. The fourth question is, did you regulate your nervous system? And I'll put a link in the description box below too. I have a video, or you can go to my website to kind of get to it. I don't know if it's on YouTube, about how to shift your stress. It's easy techniques to help you regulate your nervous system. So I want to give you that tool too before I ask the question and you're like, I don't know, how do I do that? There are ways, but just that is also the currency, and the really critical piece of how we move through 2024 is a regulated nervous system. No more of the stress response. If we do have it, seeing it as biological, because that's how our body is surviving, but noticing it and pulling ourselves out of that tailspin. Did you regulate your nervous system? And you may have had a day where, heck, you're just sitting on the couch watching movies all day, so there was really nothing that got you, spiky or in a stress mode, and that's okay. So yeah, you did regulate your nervous system. And if you didn't, reflect then back on, oh yeah, I got stuck in traffic and then I felt like, oh, so tense and I did this, that, and the other. Tomorrow, how can I shift that? And then the last question is, and it doesn't have to be the same answer every day. The answer can change. What do you want to see more of in the world? And did you put some of it in the world today? So if you want to see laughter, did you make somebody laugh? If you want to see more art in the world, did you create some art? Doesn't mean you had to spray paint a mural or do, create something and give it to anybody just for you. Did you create art? If you want to see peace and connection, did you do that in your day? So those are the 5 questions to kind of just recenter, recalibrate, and help hone in on those choice points, because it is the minor choices day to day that support those bigger changes. So whatever it is that you want to call in for yourself and help create the beautiful world that we are all creating, I hope this can help you. I hope you found this video helpful, and I will see you next time. Have an amazing day. Bye.